I'm Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North. Chancellors of the Twin Ports 2 public universities are here to talk about planning to safely bring students back to campus. Parents are making difficult decisions on whether they should send their children back to the classroom. We will hear one family's story. And teachers in the Wrenshall School District are preparing outdoor classroom space for their youngest learners. These stories and more coming up right now on Almanac North. Hello once again and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. Julie Zenner is off this week as we alternate hosting during the pandemic. This show was recorded on Thursday afternoon. Colleges in the Twin Ports are preparing to welcome students back to campus in the midst of a pandemic. With the situation changing seemingly by the day, university officials are keeping their plans fluid. Here with the latest update is Dr. Renee Wachter, Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Superior, and Dr. Lenley Black is the Chancellor of the University of Minnesota Duluth. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so very much for joining us. Lots of information that people really need to know. Dr. Black, let's start with you. The university recently made the announcement that they are delaying the start of school. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, on Monday morning, the Board of Regents made a decision to delay the beginning of face-to-face classes for 2 weeks from the days in which they were scheduled originally, and also to delay move-in for a period of 2 weeks. So we are busily making plans and preparations. Instead of beginning on August 31st as originally scheduled, we are hoping that we'll be able to start on September 14th. And we would have the move-in, if classes are starting on the 14th, we would hope to have move-in the week before, around September the 9th.
How soon could you start allowing potential students to know exactly when they might move back in?
Well, we're hoping to know within a week. We're watching things very carefully. We're watching the data research regarding the pandemic and how it's progressing. We're looking at the COVID rates in St. Louis County. We're looking at the trends in the demographics of our students, basically focused on 18 to 24-year-olds. And we're also continuing to make sure our campus is as safe as possible, and certainly as safe as any public space, and which we think we're already ready for that. So we're looking at the trends, looking at the data, seeing if there be any changes within the state particularly, but also nationally in terms of the ways that in which we need to deal with the pandemic.
Dr. Wachter, what are you doing at UWS?
Boy, it's been a comprehensive lift all summer long, preparing for a number of scenarios, not exactly sure what we were going to encounter this fall. So we actually had our faculty, 95% participate in a summer kind of boot camp for faculty to get their skills ready for making a switch if we needed to go online. In the meantime, we've done the same thing. We've been preparing facilities with social distancing standards, putting in plexiglass, buying 55-gallon drums of hand sanitizer from Vickery Distillery, equipping our classrooms, and we're very proud to say that because of the efforts of our interim president, Tommy Thompson, we have a very comprehensive testing plan ready for students when they arrive. So we'll be able to do some surveillance testing with antigen testing to see if very quickly identify and isolate if there seems to be an outbreak occurring. So we're ready to go, as much as anybody could be.
Sure. At UWS, have you noticed any potential student cutback because of the pandemic? Are kids a little reluctant to maybe go to college right now?
You know, I think there are some. It's been a really interesting phenomenon to watch and to hear what the concerns are. There are some that really want that full college experience, and they know that life is going to look different this fall, and so they've decided to sit out. One of the things that we did create was something called Plan U, which was for that gap year for students. If that's the choice that they wanted to make, they could still make some progress in their studies. But there are others that want to come back even under the restricted conditions that they know they'll face. And we've been very good about communicating all the way along about the kinds of things that they should expect when they come to campus, including wearing face coverings and social distancing and restrictions on dining. And
Dr. Black, is your registration where it should be?
Well, we're holding our own reasonably well, but we have seen a decrease, although it's a little difficult to compare. Usually we track the data from one year to the next and look at enrollments on particular dates throughout the summer and certainly going into the fall. And since this is such an unusual time, it's difficult to get a really good comparison. But I think we certainly will see some decrease. Right now, it does not look like it's going to be a major one for us. And we are also working very closely with students and helping them understand what the options are and helping them to make the transition back to campus as soon as possible.
What's being done to keep students safe at your school?
Well, we have done a thorough job, and I really appreciate our staff in particular. They've been working on the campus all summer long because we've had some staff and researchers on campus throughout the summer. And now as we're preparing for students to come back, we've done thorough sanitizing and cleaning of the campus. We are also using various things in terms of plexiglass shields. We have a Stop the COVID-19 initiative, which is an initiative of posters and communication that tells people what they need to do. We do have a mask requirement on campus. We are also encouraging people to check their symptoms. We are also having them focus on the appropriate physical distancing and also to be careful of their contacts off campus as well as what happens on campus. So we feel very ready for students to come back.
Dr. Wachter, what are you doing at UWS for student safety?
So very much the same thing. So everything has been prepared with that in mind. It's been a huge lift by our facilities staff in terms of making sure all of our classrooms have the appropriate capacity, are spaced appropriately to maintain that 6-foot distance, plexiglass to ensure the instructors' signage about where those 6-foot spaces are, arrows to keep people coming one way in stairways, limiting people in the elevator, accelerated cleaning schedules, and then again, for those students that are residential in the residence halls, the antigen testing once every 2 weeks.
Are either of you finding your school is having a difficult time in trying to keep students from gathering en masse, large groups, large parties?
At this point, no. We've done a comprehensive campaign to really try to, not so much the stick approach, but really trying to encourage them this culture of care, that we are a family, to exercise good judgment, and then really trying to provide activities for them that can allow them to still get together, but do it in a socially distant, responsible way.
Dr. Black?
Well, and that we're watching that closely, and that is certainly a concern of ours. We also have had a campaign with the students coming back to campus, cautioning them about the dangers of being in large crowds. We've also, I've sent personal letters to members of the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Association asking them to partner with us in the restaurants and bars and other gathering places with students to try to help keep students as safe as possible.
Any particular problems for international students?
I think the hardest for them has been getting visas to come and being able to physically get here. And so, you know, that Plan U package that I described is appropriate for some of them, and some of them have taken up on that, saying, okay, I can't get in and I can't get in to get my visa now, but I'll look forward to the spring or even next fall. But yes, it's still very challenging, I think, for some of those students. Unfortunately, the U.S. is the hotbed.
It is, yeah. Are you hearing the same thing?
Absolutely. We're also struggling, although we have had some of our international students they are able to come back. We do have special residence hall spaces for them, as well as our other returning and new students. So we're paying particular attention to them, and we enjoy the resources of the University of Minnesota system, which has a very thorough and detailed international office and initiative that helps us with our international students.
We're running short of time. What technology might students need to have if they're going to be a stay-at-home student?
A really good computer, a lot of broadband width, and width and depth and breadth, and the ability to sit and enjoy Zooms.
It's going to be different.
It will be different.
Same with you, Doctor?
The same as well. And what we've also done too is knowing that there is the possibility of a switch online is really making sure that the campus network has been upgraded and additional Wi-Fi spots throughout and in the parking lot. So lots of opportunity to have access.
Dr. Renee Wachter, thank you. Dr. Lenley Black, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank
Good
you.
to be with you.
On Monday, Duluth Public Schools revealed changes to their fall plan, which we talked about with Superintendent John Magus on Almanac North just 2 weeks ago. Under the updated plan, middle and high school students will be entirely distance learning for the first quarter instead of the hybrid option. Parents of elementary students can choose to have them entirely in distance learning or in school just a couple of days a week. The district says these changes will accommodate state-mandated emergency child care services as well as enhanced distance learning instruction. Now, even with these changes, parents are making difficult decisions on whether or not to send their kids back to the classroom. For some, choices are limited or dictated by the family situation. Ramona Moroza spoke with one mother to get her perspective on sending her daughter back into the classroom several days a week.
My mom's been teaching me piano. I get to play with my friend across the street, and we newly got a play set in our side yard, so I've been playing with that a lot.
Our neighborhood, we went in on buying this ninja course and we put it up in our yard so that the kids didn't have to be exposed at the playgrounds and could still, we've kind of let our kids be in a little pod together so they could still all play on this.
I've like never said I miss school. I mean, sometimes I say it and I'm like, I don't want to go to school. And now I'm actually like, I miss school so much, I want to go home. Get to learn math, watch cool videos. So yeah, I'm really excited to head back to school. One of my favorite subjects is gym, because sometimes we get to do all these different really fun games.
I'm Ashley Dressel. I teach philosophy at the College of St. Scholastica.
I'm April and I go to North Star School.
It wasn't so stressful because I didn't know what choice we were going to have to make. I think it was pretty obvious. Like, I have her 5 days a week. I work full-time during the school year. It was pretty, and so I couldn't homeschool her. So I think it was pretty obvious that I was definitely going to have to send her based on whatever schedule the school came up with, but it was still stressful because I didn't want to send her during a pandemic. We know that public health-wise, it would be absolutely best to keep her home. And so if there was any way that we could keep her home and keep people safer, we would have chosen to do that in this particular circumstance. You know, we're watching schools across the country have to close after only a few weeks. So yeah, we would have loved to keep her home, but that wasn't possible. It feels like it's not a choice for a lot of us. And so having a choice for people who are not parents, I think it makes it feel like, oh, well, you had the choice to keep your kid at home, right? But maybe for a particular family situation like ours, that wasn't a real choice. We heard kind of rumors about, oh, people are forming these pods where they're going to kind of have their children distance learn together, but that just never materialized around us. So really the two options were full distance learning or send her back. That was really the only option that made sense for our family. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna send her back and then figure out some kind of homeschooling model.
Didn't you say we were gonna do something with Carrie?
Possibly. I don't know yet. We're figuring it out. Even when we were able to sort of cobble together homeschooling in the spring, she just didn't thrive. in that environment. And so I do know, I mean, that's sort of the silver lining, is I do know that she will have a really nice time seeing her friends, and that she works really well having a teacher work there right with her. So you're happy about that, huh? Yeah.
So maybe there might be some times when they can't help you and that they need to talk to the kids online. But that, I think I'll be able to flow with that. At least I get to talk to them a little bit, which will still help.
We've spent a lot of time together.
I think it's nice because you taught me like piano. You taught me like piano, and you got to like show me all this different stuff, and I got to spend more time with you and learn more stuff.
It's actually gonna be weird to send her back because we've been together so much, huh? And we've been having a really good time together. I think it's gonna be a little bit weird to suddenly be apart.
Ashley credits the pandemic for her daughter's desire to start playing the piano, saying she wouldn't have started playing if not for all the extra alone time that she's had during this pandemic. And now April says she wants to become a professional pianist when she gets older. Turning now to other school news, the Wrenshall School District is thinking out of the box for its youngest learners. Teachers there are creating outdoor classroom space in the school forest. You see, their plan is to educate kindergarten and first grade students outdoors as much as possible this fall. Joining us now to tell us about it is Susie Berger, a kindergarten teacher in Wrenshall, and Anna George is also a Wrenshall kindergarten teacher. Welcome. Thank you both for being here. Susie, how in the world did you come up with this idea, outdoor classrooms?
Well, they're not anything new, really. It's something that has been wanted to be done at our school for several years before I even started there, and had been okayed to go ahead and go out in the school forest, but just never got started. It's kind of an intimidating task to get going on, but this pandemic has kind of forced us to, like you said, think out of the box and try some new things.
Anna, was it hard to get you on board?
Oh, absolutely not. We had spent a lot of time out there already, just building forts and playing and doing some projects out there, but as far as having an actual space, that's new for us.
Yeah.
Actually
So the two of you talk about getting space ready. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? I know we have some pictures.
Yeah, so we got into our school forest, which isn't too far from our space, and started clearing some areas. So the picture that you see there is where the kind of the preschool, kindergarten, first graders will get to play. And I enlisted my husband to help, so he built that table. There's a boat that a community member donated to us, which we turned into a sandbox, and there's some rock letters for the kids to just play with. Actually, those are numbers, I believe.
We all know that the weather here in the Northland can turn on a dime. If the weather is nice when school starts, a couple of days later it's very chilly. What are you going to do? What are your plans?
Well, that's one of the things we've asked for, because there are some families that don't have ability to get clothing that they would need. If it were to rain, there's no reason we can't go play in the rain. Everyone remembers being little and going outside and playing in the rain. It's super fun. So what we've done is asked community members for donations of kid-sized raincoats, rain boots, things like that. And then as far as winter, I mean, unless it's wind chill that's deemed unsafe, we will be out there playing.
Isn't that something? Are you getting some response then from parents and from families?
A little bit so far. I think, you know, we're all a little overwhelmed with the school year starting, so hopefully we will more, and, you know, we'll reach out to parents, and if they don't have the clothing that they need, we will get it for them and we'll find it.
When does school start in Wrenshall?
In 2 weeks. The day after Labor Day is when the kids will start.
Okay, so will they start immediately outdoors?
I think we're planning on spending a majority of our day out there. It is a shortened school day, which will help with the disinfecting that we have to do. And but I think we're going to come up with a schedule where we can all have turns out there, and there will be things and days when we do need to be inside. But
some of viewers might be asking this question, but I understand porta potties are being brought in and hand washing stations. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, well, that was one of the challenges that we knew we would have because we're not real close to any bathrooms. And with kindergartners, you know, you'd be having to run the whole class there every 3 minutes. So we asked our superintendent if we, you know, could get some portables, and she said absolutely. So we will have several out there for all the different grade levels to use.
Was it hard to convince the powers that be to allow you to go ahead and try this?
Fortunately, in our school board is very supportive of us, and they always ask teachers for their opinions and their input on things, which isn't the case in every district. So we're very blessed to have a superintendent and a school board that supports us and thinks of us as professionals.
Sure. Do you know yet how many kindergarten and first grade students you might have?
Yep, so we have 2 kindergarten classes this year. We don't always need 2 classes, so we each have 15 total students this year.
It's kind of going back and forth until school starts. It'll be around 32 kindergarten students.
And we're starting with the hybrid model, so we'll only have half of our class.
I see.
At a time.
You kind of approached it a little bit, and I was going to ask you a question on that. What does the school board think of this plan?
Oh,
I mean, when you approach them, did they go, what?
No, they said yes, please,
Really?
because I think there's several board members who have been on the board since it was brought up in the past and wanting to do it, so they were more than happy for us to get started on it and get going. And actually that boat was donated by one of the school board members.
Oh,
so
how nice. Are you modeling this after some other district? Do you know of any other school districts who've done outdoor education?
There are. Up the shore, there are actually some beautiful outdoor classrooms. We would love to go visit those, but really we're just off the cuff doing what we wanted to and went out there and started clearing and making spaces that we like.
We've been taking some classes also online, several of us teachers, to learn more in what we can do. So.
Will students have to wear masks outdoors and do social distancing there too?
We will try to keep them socially distanced as much as possible. With our young learners, that is difficult, but we will do the best we can. They are, I believe, still supposed to have a mask on, especially if they are still in close quarters.
Yeah, if they're playing close to each other, they'll have to have their masks, but there'll be times when we can spread out if we're doing games and things, and they can take a mask break for sure.
Some parents might be asking, gosh, this sounds exciting. Can we also visit the classroom? Would you allow parents to peek in?
Yes, as long as we have to make sure, of course, that everyone's safely distanced or wearing a mask, and they would have to probably call ahead to make sure that it's not a big group or something like that, or there's not other people there.
That may not be out of the question, should they? So all this begins right away the first day of school, or will you stay indoors for a little while and then go out, or what are your plans?
No, I think we're going to get right out there. You know, in kindergarten especially, there's a lot of free play time throughout the day, and so I envision any time that we're doing free play, we'll be out there and for our lessons as much as we can, as long as the weather is cooperating for us.
What are you telling parents who might be going, say what?
The response has actually been really positive, and I think since we do live in a smaller area that has a lot of families that have grown up here, and it's a farming community type of thing, so they want their kids outside and they know how beneficial it is. So
when it is the first day of school in Wrenshall, other than the students that you have outdoors, what will the first day of school look like in Wrenshall?
Boy,
it's a tough question this year.
I think
That's
we're
still
not
changing
even
day by day.
we start as a staff next week, and we'll be planning all of that out. But they'll be coming in and going to their classrooms. Again, we're hybrid, so it'll only be half of each class, but we'll still follow throughout the day, and
it'll be very different this year. And so we'll see. Some of it's going to be a learning process for even us as staff.
Well, if you want to go back 70 years, I wish I had you for my kindergarten teachers.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both very much for being here and telling your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Itasca County has been providing weekly Zoom updates to keep residents in the loop on COVID-19 news, and fall education plans have been a frequent topic. Now, recently, school leaders discussed support available for students and families, what to expect in classrooms, how to access mental health support, and how to spot stress in students. With masks being required for all students, Nashwauk-Keewatin's elementary school principal touched on the importance of having a positive tone when talking about masking with children.
How we set the tone for that will be how children are going to go into school and live their lives this year. So we need you to have all the excitement of an NFL cheerleader to say, oh, you're going to wear a mask at school? Awesome. Let's pick out masks that are going to make you feel excited and cool at school.
Itasca County Public Health Division Manager Kelly Chandler says there are very few exceptions to the mask protocol. Exceptions include when students are eating and drinking, engaging in an activity requiring exertion like Phi-Ed, or if needing to visualize the mouth for learning purposes. Well, that'll do it for this week's show, but you can stay in touch by following us on social media. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Visit the WDSE website for program updates, upcoming events, and more information about the station. And don't forget to download the PBS video app for on-demand viewing of your favorite PBS programs and past episodes of our show. Almanac North will be off next week due to our summer membership drive, but we'll be back in 2 weeks to kick off our 29th season with a new look and new studio set, so mark your calendars for that. Thanks to our guests and the crew here in the studio, I'm Dennis Anderson. Stay healthy, good night everybody, and be kind.